Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, slashers, albino princes and vampire hunters. It's my weekly wrap-up. I'm going to start by saying the thing I always forget to say in my videos, which somebody pointed out to me I should say, which is I do have a Discord server as well. So if anyone wants to talk, more in depth about books than you can in the comments on videos, then feel free to join up at the Discord. And we can talk about all sorts of stuff there. So the link for the Discord is in the description for all of my videos, but I do consistently forget to point it out. So feel free to join up. We've got a bunch of interesting people there, and we just chat about books and stuff. So in terms of this video, then this will be my normal format for a Saturday weekly wrap up. So I'll talk about the books I've read in the last week, talk about what I think I'm going to be reading in the week ahead, and then just talk about some channel stuff. So what videos have been up in the last week and what's coming up soon. So in terms of what I've read then, let's do the physical books first. So this morning I just finished this one, Call to the Void by Robert Royal Poff. So this was a really interesting book. So this was sent to me by Robert, the author, a while ago, and I hadn't managed to get around to it, but put it in my TBR for October, as it's a collection of horror stories. So felt appropriate for Halloween, and it was really, really interesting. I will do a longer review on it in one of my kind of small press spotlight videos, but it was a very interesting mix of different kinds of short stories. He's definitely got a fantastic imagination, so there was some really enjoyably weird and horrible stuff in this book, very graphic at times, and he's also got a fantastic ear for dialogue, so I really liked some of the dialogue in the book. So yeah, definitely an interesting collection, and one I've not seen other people talk about really, so I would recommend checking it out if you like kind of independent horror, and as I say, I'll do a more in-depth review of it soon. The other book I finished this week that was in paper, a paper book rather than an ebook, was Only Child by Jack Ketchum. So this was a kind of read-along for Juan at Plagued by Visions, his Patreon group, but it was kind of opened up more broadly than that. So I have to say this is my least favourite Jack Ketchum book I've read so far. It's a story about a woman with an abusive husband and terrible stuff kind of happening domestically, and it was incredibly difficult to read at times, really horrible at times. There was some court scenes which I did quite enjoy. I quite enjoy courtroom dramas, but the second half of it just felt like there were too many things that I just couldn't believe in terms of the twists that the story took. So yeah, it was a kind of a 3-star read for me. Parts of it were fantastically gripping, but overall I wasn't nearly as big a fan of it as I have been of the other Jack Ketchum books I've read. In terms of Kindle books I've read this week then, so I've read, so last week when I did this video I was reading Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen, so I finished that. I ended up not liking it as much as I was when I filmed last week's video. So the end of it, when it gets more into the kind of horror stuff, was good. It was quite enjoyably gory, but it just didn't feel like it meshed together properly with the rest of the book, so it felt a bit disjointed to me, and I wasn't a big fan of the ending either. So this was a book about like a bachelor style reality TV show where on this kind of island somewhere in the US, there's a kind of the bachelor character and a group of women who are competing for his affections, but it turns out they're in basically Bigfoot country. So it was an interesting idea to mix up those two different things, but I just didn't really feel that it worked overall. I also read, and this was much more successful, Halloween Slaughter by Sergio Gomes. So this is the second in his, I think he's calling it the Slaughter trilogy. So the first was Camp Slaughter. So I liked Camp Slaughter. I really liked Halloween Slaughter. I thought it was a fantastic sequel. So it's about this slasher character called Varias Caras, I think his name is, who is, so half the time he's kind of this mild-mannered like hulking, great big, but mild-mannered guy called Ignacio, and the rest of the time he's this brutal killer who wears people's faces as a mask. It was just really entertaining. He uses all the slasher tropes, does it really, really well. It was just a fantastically enjoyable horror novel. It was never like scary, but it was always suspenseful. It was quite brutal at times without being sadistic. I had a great time with it. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm going to do a full review of it, which will probably go up this coming Thursday. And then also read on my Kindle the first of the Vampire Hunter D books by Hideyuki Kikuchi. So I was familiar with the fact that there's like Vampire Hunter D video games and like anime and things like that, but it was originally a series of novels, and there's like loads of them. And Humble Bundle had a deal a while ago where you could get, I think it was the first 29 of them, so I did, not really knowing anything about them at all, and I've read the first one now, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. So it's a very kind of pulpy feeling book, with it's definitely got kind of a manga-ish flair to it, in terms of like some of the fight scenes and things like that. But about this guy, Vampire Hunter D, who lives in it's kind of in a kind of apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic future where society is returned to a kind of feudal kind of society, and there are various monsters. There's vampires and werewolves and all that stuff. So it's kind of cheesy, but it was just so much fun, really energetic. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's got really lovely illustrations in it as well. So that was a big hit for me. I only gave it 3 stars because it was very, very silly, but I did really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to reading more in the series. All 28 of them. I don't know how long it will take me to get through those. And then currently reading, so I've just started The Fortress of the Pearl by Michael Moorcock, which is the second chronologically of the Elric of Melnimide series. Really, really enjoying it so far. So Elric is this albino prince guy who's got this sword that kind of swallows people's souls and gives him health when he kills people. So just really dark, enjoyable kind of sword and sorcery type stuff. Again, it's got kind of a pulpy feel to it, but Moorcock is a fantastic writer. So there's real artistry to the way he writes, and there's often kind of a dreamlike feeling to the Elric book. So I'm really, really enjoying it so far. So I will continue reading that this weekend. I suspect this will be my last read of October. It's the 29th now, so it's 3 days left in October. So I'll confident I'll finish this in October. So this is four books in this, so it's only a quarter of this book. So I will, I'm pretty sure I'll finish this, and then I may be able to fit something else in, but I'm not sure. We shall see. But after this, if I don't get something else in out of my October TBR, I will probably dive into Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. So that's my classic for November. It's quite long, so I want to get that read and out of the way so I can get the review for it filmed. So I think that will probably be my next book after the Elric book. So that's what I have been reading and what I'm planning to read. In terms of channel stuff, so in the last week I did a video launching my Disturbing Books project where I'm going to be reading disturbing books that were recommended by people in the comments on the video review I did of a book called Notice by Heather Lewis. So I've had tons of recommendations from people. I had got it down to a list of 14 that I was going to read, but since then loads of people have recommended other books, and I've added about 5 more to the list. So I'll probably do a follow-up video at some point talking about the other books that I'm going to add into that list. But yeah, more books that look really, really interesting keep on coming out of the woodwork. So I'm going to continue with that project anyway, and I'm planning to read probably a couple of months. In terms of other reviews then, or other videos, so I've had reviews of The Rats by James Herbert for my Carry On Screaming series, where I'm talking about British horror novels from the kind of 70s, 80s and 90s. And I also did a review of, so there's The Rats, let me show you this fantastic New English Library cover. Also did a review of Poking Holes by Juan Valencia, whose channel I mentioned earlier. So a short story collection, which was absolutely fantastic. So I've got a review of that, which went up on Thursday. And I did the In or Out tag as well, which was quite an entertaining tag to do, and also talked about my November TBR, so all the books I'm going to be reading in November. In the week ahead, I've been super busy at work this week, and haven't managed to get quite as ahead with my planning and videos as I normally do. So I haven't got really firm idea of exactly what I'm going to be doing in the week ahead, but I'll definitely be doing a review of Halloween Slaughter, and I'll definitely be doing an October wrap-up video as well, where I will talk about all the books I read in October and rank them in terms of how much I enjoyed them. And I'm also going to do what will probably be, for now at least, the final Ask Criminoli video. So that's a series of videos where I just answer questions from subscribers. So I'll be doing that for a while. I think this will be number 10 or 11. But I've got other stuff I want to be doing with my kind of video schedule now. So I think it will be the last Ask Criminoli video. And I'll do a tag on Tuesday as well, and something on Monday. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do on Monday yet. But yeah, that's kind of a flavour of what you'll see in the channel in the week ahead. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is something I don't normally talk about at all, which is TV. So last night, my wife and I watched the first episode of the new Netflix show from Guillermo del Toro, Cabinet of Curiosities, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. It was like 45 minutes long. It's like a story per episode. And just the pacing of it was perfect. So do let me know in the comments if you've watched that and what you thought of it. I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of them. I thought it was a really fantastic kind of new horror show. So yeah, really, really enjoyed that. Okay, time for a random book from the shelves. And this is a book by an author who's turned up in my comments a fair bit in the last week for some reason. I'm not sure why. So a few people have mentioned him, and that's Joe R. Lansdale. So Joe R. Lansdale kind of started out as a horror writer. So I think his first book was The Drive-In, which I reviewed on the channel a while ago, which is a really fun kind of bizarro horror novel. But more recently has turned to kind of crime thriller type stuff, and this is one of his Hap and Leonard series, and I haven't read this one yet. I've read the first couple, I think, in the series, but yeah, they're really fun, kind of enjoyable, exciting, but they've got kind of a slightly comic air to them. They remind me a little bit of the John D. MacDonald, Travis McGee books in terms of that kind of lightness of touch to them. But yeah, a really entertaining series of crime thrillers. So yeah, I thought I would show you this one today, which is Rumble Tumble. So, hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you've been reading this week and what you're planning to be reading in the week ahead. Let me know if you've read any of the books I talked about. And let me know if you've been watching Cabinet of Curiosities and what you think of it. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.